Good afternoon to you. Earlier on today, apparently a woman rang the BBC and said she heard that there was a hurricane on the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't. But having said that, actually, the weather will become very windy, but most of the strong winds, incidentally, will be down over Spain and across into France as well. But there's a vicious-looking area of low pressure on our doorstep, nevertheless, around about the Brittany area, and that is going to head across the southeastern corner of the country, bringing, if nothing else, a lot of rain with it. On the satellite picture you can see that there's of course a lot of cloud as well as a lot of rain stretching right across Europe. Indeed, most areas there are just as unsettled as we are, having some outbreaks of rain. That's the way the rainfall pattern is looking at the moment. A lot of shading, a lot of rain across many parts of Europe. Let's zoom in a little bit closer and have a look at the British scene though. And as you can see, rain is now pushing up towards southern counties. And there's a fair bit of rain still further north, left over from last night's weather system. Now, as I run the sequence, you can see just how quickly the rain comes up from France, affects many southern and eastern areas, and then eventually later on tonight clears on out of the way and leaves us tomorrow in a fairly stiff run of westerly winds, bringing along quite a few showers. Well, I had a peep at the radar just before I came down a short while ago. It looked as if rain wasn't very far away from the London area, but certainly some outbreaks of rain coming nicely now into many southern counties of England. The more midland areas and Wales are a little bit brighter and drier, just one or two showers around. Northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland though, a fair amount of cloud. And again, there are some outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain fairly heavy, although it's beginning to ease off and turn showery now over Northern Ireland. Now, as time goes on, the rain in the north will edge up into northern parts of Scotland, tending to brighten up a little bit and dry up in the more northern areas there of England. But the rain further south really setting in as time goes on for East Anglia, many southern parts of England, the afternoon ending up very wet and quite cool too, 12 or 13 Celsius, only the mid-50s Fahrenheit. Now, to begin with this evening, a lot of wet weather around in many eastern and southern parts of the country.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Fowl original Newsround.
Heavy rain in that northern part of Scotland as well.
And
but
Michael Fish
rain in the north
deal.
of Scotland will slowly clear away, and the rain in the south as well, except that is, I think, in those eastern counties where it will last into the morning. And as it clears away, the cloud should break, but it will leave behind just one.
For those of you that don't know, this is quite an infamous piece of video.
Southeastern parts as the evening and night goes on.
Very infamous piece of video. I'm going to switch it over now.
Now there's the picture for tomorrow. Stiff westerly winds, and that means to say that once the rain clears from the east, it's a mixture of sunshine and showers for us all, and rather cool with it. Good afternoon to you. Earlier on
Now, that's basically back it. I don't know what happened. Hello everyone and welcome to the Fowl Originals Newsround. There have been some technical difficulties today that I've been going through, which I've had to deal with. But first of all, let me say thank you to Mr. Brian Walsh. Mr. Brian Walsh has allowed me to be able to go and see the Progress documentary, which due to technical difficulties I haven't booked tickets for yet, but I will be, and that's why we didn't have Fowl Originals Weekly Wrestling Recap today, because of technical difficulties. But I am looking into them and I will fix them. But first of all, let me see if I can get the chat up on the screen. That's the first thing. Let's get it on. Once I get the chat up, I can continue the show. So today's Fowl Originals News Round starts off with, I think that's open up the chat for me. Today's Fowl Originals News Round concerns the beginning of the Stormy Daniels affair. So it's quite a sad story, really. Like, when I was reading this, and I remember thinking, you know, we were talking before about how there are certain news stories which come in to like confuse you and misdirect you and all that kind of jazz. This is kind of one of those stories, but I just wanted to really just kind of talk about it really briefly. Hello to everyone on Periscope and on YouTube. I just wanted to also say that you can help support the channel just like Brian did. Brian made a donation to Fowl Originals wrestling side so that I can go to this Progress documentary. But if you would like to help support the channel, if you like what's going on, if you're all like, I like the look of that, I think I could do that. I think I could happily help out. I'm just going to quickly briefly show you how you can do that. So if you want to help support the channel, then you do this. You go to fowloriginal.com. You then go to you can see that I've got a beautiful picture of myself there. You can go. You've got home, about, what's going on, support the channel. You go to support the channel, which will take you down to here. when you get down to here, there are several different ways to do to help out. If you want to make a one-time donation and you want to help this show continue to keep on going Mondays to Thursdays, then you can become a patron. I'm going to fix that soon, so I wouldn't necessarily go there unless you really want to. You can go to Streamlabs. That's a direct donation to me. But you can also, the easiest way to do it, and this is the way that Brian did it, is you can click the donate button here. When you click the donate button, it will then take you through to PayPal. You can then donate to Fowl Original, donate whatever you want. I won't say exactly how much Brian gave, because that's not very cool, and the lady never tells. But you can then pop in how much you want. You can also use your normal debit card, credit card if you want to as well. Go through secure PayPal, and then you can click login as yourself, and that's how you donate to the channel and help this gravy train to keep on rolling. But after that, let's come back to this. So, Stormy Daniels no-show Celebrity Big Brother UK. This is one of those stories that, as I said, I wanted to talk about because I feel like it does. It's a weird story which I can't believe is one of the biggest stories on the BBC website. Now, Stormy Daniels, Celebrity Big Brother no-show, never about the money. Adult film star Stormy Daniels has appeared on TV to explain why she did not appear on Celebrity Big Brother. She denied asking for more money and accused the show's producers of trying to deport her. It was never about the money, she said, insisting she'd always asked for her fee to be donated to charity. Daniels' real name, Stephanie Clifford, made headlines after it was alleged she had slept with Donald Trump in 2006, which the US president denies. The 39-year-old has been due to enter the Celebrity Big Brother house last Thursday. On Friday, her lawyers issued a statement claiming the Big Brother producers had tried to control her and script a result she didn't agree with, which I think that's very interesting to begin with. Celebrity Big Brother broadcaster Channel 5 denied the allegations, claiming 5 hours before the live show, Stormy informed us that she wished to simply appear on launch night and then leave. In an interview broadcast on Monday's edition of ITV's Loose Women, this is where I found this story out from, Daniels said a development in the ongoing custody battle for her 7-year-old daughter had made her feel uncomfortable about staying in the house. Being a mum comes first, Daniels said, and I wanted to be able to talk to her and everything going on. Daniels said she still wanted to make an appearance on the show, to apologise for her non-appearance and explain the situation to her fans. She claimed it was agreed she would enter the house on Friday morning instead of Thursday's launch night and spend the day in the Big Brother house. Her stint, she went on, was to finish with a visit to the diary room and an explainer about why she would not be taking part in the rest of the series. I thought it was a great way to salvage some of the show, the US star said. I didn't want to let the British down the British fans. Daniels said it was agreed that her day rate would have been donated to charity. And Daniels claims the Celebrity Big Brother producers came back a couple of hours later and said, you're either going to go on, stay in the house, follow the contract to a T, or we're deporting you at 6 AM on Friday, or to steal something from Mr. Vince McMahon. Yeah, fine. Oh, hello, everybody. I worked out, I think it's 2-day anniversary. Biam Margio. I can't even see what Biam Margio thinks. Hello, Ben's List. How you doing? There was no way I was going to get on a plane and wake up to the headlines that Stormy Daniels gets deported from England without being able to tell my side of the story. And sure enough, I woke up to all these crazy claims that I was abusive to someone there. Absolutely not true. That I demanded more money. Absolutely not true. It was never about the money. I was trying to give the money away. In a statement, Channel 5 did not address allegations that attempts were made to deport Ms. Daniels, but said reports she asked for more money were completely false. The channel added producers discussed a variety of options with her, but weren't able to agree any acceptable conditions for her entering the house. Our focus is now on making a brilliant series with our fantastic celebrities. Loose Women said Daniels waived her appearance fee from ITV, asking instead for it to be donated to Oxfam. It's 2-minute lag. It might just be because of the way that I've set up the chat. As I said, we've had some technical difficulties today, which The show wouldn't have gone on if I hadn't just got it going. So, excuse me. Oh my god, I've still got this cold. I just keep sleeping all day. It's bad. If I've been off work at the moment, so. But yeah, this Stormy Daniels thing. I wanted to talk about it in the sense of, so this is my 2 cents on this whole thing. I'm going to say cents. The Stormy Daniels situation is one where the president could be impeached for the things that are going on. Now, Stormy Daniels is trying to, I don't want to use the phrase, trying to milk this for all she can. Yeah. Now, it isn't great. It isn't a great thing that's happened in the sense that she can't really walk down the street. She's become the most famous she's probably ever going to be in her life for having sex with someone. Bearing in mind that most of her job is to have sex with people. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but because that is her job. Oh, you think it's the 2 year most what I can do skirts? Probably is. Because that is her employment, her occupation. I find it rather rich sometimes to feel that she's now getting angry for the fact that she had sex with someone and it's now an issue. Now, people would potentially call that what the social justice warriors would call slut shaming. And it's not slut shaming. It's not like this was something where Stormy Daniels was attacked or assaulted by the president. If what went on is that potentially he paid her for the pleasure of said tryst. Now, I also think it's bloody rich that she's like, oh, I wanted to go home so I could tell my daughter about what's going on because, you know, I don't want to find out from the news. No offense, love, but your daughter is 7 years old. She probably uses the internet more than you ever will in your whole life. She probably has already seen you in various states of undress and physical activity already. I mean, if that kid's got a phone, that kid's seen your boobs. I mean, well, she's your kid, so she's probably already seen your boobs. But what I'm saying is that she's seen cream on your boobs. Now, that's not, again, helpful whatsoever. Now, if you dig deeper into this story, and something that she's been saying is that she said she's received death threats, and that's what came from Loose Women, was that she said that she'd been receiving death threats and that she wanted to hide in plain sight, and that if she didn't, that she feels that her and her daughter would be at risk, and that is actually really, really sad. And she said that she's had like death threats, and people have got. Basically, she picked the wrong president. She picked the wrong time to say that she had sex with Donald Trump. Maybe if she'd said this a few years ago, it would have been a bigger deal. It wouldn't have hurt her so much. But now it seems as if it's a big deal, and I just think it's really funny. And as I said before, it's one of those things where the distraction there, we literally saw the distraction, which was, oh, she wanted more money, and then she's come back potentially with a PR save or whatever. But I think it's, again, quite rich that she already knew the contract, and that basically what she was trying to say was, oh, for my British fans, I'm really, really sorry, but your British fans just want to see you naked. They can do that for free. They can do that by just going to the internet and typing in Stormy Daniels. So don't really think they really want to see you there on the TV in a state of dressed. Because what I always find the most rich is that a lot of adult film stars are real people, and they do have other stuff. For example, there's an adult film star called April O'Neil, who is a massive geek. She went and hid under a table somewhere to go and see the Fallout 76 trailer. Someone told me this today. Now, that's why it's really, really funny when you see someone, especially in the adult film sphere or the adult industry, go like, oh yeah, I'm not just a set of boobs and a bum. It's like, Yeah, but that's how you got to the dance. So please remember, that's how you got to the dance. So if you feel like people are disrespecting you for something that, it's just something that Mia Khalifa says as well. She's like, oh, it's something that I did for like 6 months, 12 years ago. No, yeah, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that your fame came from when men came. So if that's the set, if that's where your fame came from, yes, you could be you could do other things, and you could work into other spheres of entertainment. End of the day, that's where you started. So you have to be able to acknowledge that. If you can acknowledge that and be happy with that and understand that, then it's fine. But the fact that people are like, oh, well, my fans are going to miss out. Your fans didn't care. You've probably got fans from when they were like, oh, she had sex with Donald Trump. Oh, yo, she looks like a right goer, she does. Oh, I'll give her one. Oh. And that's who your fans are. In other news, this is really bad. In other news, now today we've got a lot of in other news is because, again, as I said, we had technical difficulties. So we're going to start off with a story which, as I said, I like to try to keep this light if I can. But unfortunately, some of these stories today, which I'm going to quickly, briefly rush through, are not that nice, really. So number one is the Pope Francis condemns child sex abuse and church cover-ups. This is brand spanking new. So Pope Francis has condemned the atrocities of child sex abuse and clerical cover-ups in a letter to the world's 1.2 billion Roman Catholics. I mean, what were the postage on that going to be? The letter to the people of God calls for an end to the culture of death in the church, addresses failures to deal with abuse, and asks for forgiveness. Last week, a grand jury report details 7 decades of abuse in Pennsylvania. The landmark investigation found more than 1,000 identifiable minors had been abused by 300 priests in the United States, in that US state. Thousands more are thought to have fallen victim. The inquiry found evidence of systematic cover-ups by the church, with many cases now too old for prosecution. After the report was made public, the Vatican said the Pope was on the side of victims against predator priests. What did the Pope say? The Vatican says it is the first time a Pope has addressed a letter to the entire Catholic population on the topic of sex abuse. In Monday's 2,000-word letter, he addresses the US scandal directly, acknowledges the Church's role in failing to act sooner. He describes the heart-wrenching pain of these victims that were long ignored, kept quiet, or silenced. With shame and repentance, we acknowledge as an ecclesial community that we were not where we should have been, that we did not act in a timely manner. Realizing the magnitude and the gravity of the damage done to so many lives, he writes, we showed no care for the little ones. We abandoned them. The Pope's message quotes a passage from the Bible in Corinthians that says, if one member suffers, all suffer together, and calls for the church to come to grips with the reality of what has happened in a comprehensive and communal way. If in the past the response was one of omission, today we want solidarity in the deepest and most challenging sense to become our way of forging present and future history. Still online? Yeah. Present and future history. It is essential that as a church we be able to acknowledge and condemn with sorrow and shame the atrocities perpetrated by consecrated persons, clerics, and all those entrusted with the mission of watching over and caring for those most vulnerable. Let us beg forgiveness for our own sins and the sins of others. And I don't want to skip over it, but I'm going to take you to this part of the story. Last year, Ms. Collins resigned from a Vatican Child Protection Commission set up by Pope Francis because of what she said was the Church's resistance to change. Voice of the Faithful, a group that was formed after revelations of abuse in Boston in 2022, welcomed Monday's letter, but reiterated the necessity of full accountability for offenders and those who covered abuse up. Although we applaud the Pope's expressions of regret and sorrow, as always, we find ourselves anxiously anticipating actions to back up his words, the statement said. Now, it's very, 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 very sad story, and it's one of those stories where you think that I can't believe it's taken this long, but, well, it seems as if this is a pope that wants to do something about it. The stories that are coming out at the moment of people and historical abuse, it's mainly the historical abuse that's become such an issue, and that's what is now slowly but surely coming to the fore. But you just think that the amount of people that have had issues over the time is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm just, at least he has condemned it, and he's talking about this now. The first pope that's really talked about it, but as the end of the article says, depends what actions come of this, because it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But that's that. Now, in other news, we also have a Brexit story. Oh, for all of you Brexiteers. Brexit, NHS managers warn about impact of no deal. The group representing hospitals and ambulance services in England has warned of a lack of contingency planning to deal with the impact of a no deal Brexit on the health service. Now remember, everybody, Brexit will save you money. The NHS have been wasting all this. They've been throwing it away. Haven't you seen the bus? The bus, and Boris told us that if we get rid of Brexit, we will save all this money because the NHS are wasting it all. In a leaked email to the NHS England boss Simon Stevens, NHS providers says leaving the EU without agreement would immediately be a real risk to services. The group warns it would make it harder to stop the spread of diseases. NHS England said preparing for every potential Brexit outcome is a priority. Ministers are to reveal more details of their contingency planning for a no-deal Brexit later this week. Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab, who will travel to Brussels for the latest round of talks with his EU counterpart Michael Barnier on Tuesday, has said a deal is still the most likely outcome. But he has said preparations for the failure to reach an agreement this autumn, or Parliament rejecting any deal, is the responsible course of action. The UK is set to leave the EU on 29th of March 2019, and the two sides are currently negotiating the terms of its exit and its future relations in a whole range of issues. With 7 months to go, With 7 months to go, ministers have said they are stepping up contingency preparation for a no-deal Brexit, while insisting that it is not their chosen outcome. Stockpiles and shortages. But NHS providers, which represent acute ambulance, community and mental health services within the health service, have expressed concern about what it says is a lack of engagement with members in the email. Ministers in the email, seen by the BBC. It's called for NHS England and NHS Improvement, which oversees NHS trusts and providers, to convene a group of trust leaders as a matter of urgency. Not unforeseen, so-called hard Brexit. And Downing Street has described the advice due on Thursday as sensible, proportionate, and part of a common-sense approach to ensure stability, whatever the outcomes of the talks. On the same day, Mr. Raab will make a speech in Westminster to outline the government's plans for the possibility of leaving the EU without a deal. The UK is seeking associate membership of the European Medicines Agency, which evaluates and supervises medicines and helps national authorities authorise the sale of drugs across the EU single market. So, well done, Brexit Leave fans. Well done there, Brexiteer leavers. Well done. You've helped the NHS so much that now more money is having to be spent to understand the fact that they have no money. Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, and I'm sure that at the end of the day, it's them damn immigrants' faults. It's always the immigrants' faults, isn't it, Brexiteers? Always the immigrants' fault. In other news, I was sent abuse for wanting a baby girl. This story is absolutely blew my mind because of several points. I was sent abuse for wanting a baby girl. TV presenter Danielle Lloyd has said she received abuse online over wanting to use gender selection when she has her next baby to ensure she has a daughter. Danielle, who has 4 young sons, says she has been called selfish and disgusting. Gender selection is illegal in the UK, but Lloyd plans to go to the US for treatment. What? She wants a... What? So, she has 4 young boys, and she wants a girl. So, instead of just continuing to have children, she is going to pick herself a child. Now, I want to kind of just briefly talk about this because within the Asian community, there is a massive push to have boys. Always has been, always has been. And in Chinese community, in many of the communities around the world, it is more attractive to have a boy than it is to have a girl. Now, straw man argument, but I've got many relatives that have had like 4 girls and then had a boy, and then they're like, cool, cool, that's enough kids now, that's enough kids. If gender selection is allowed, how many girls do you think will be gender selected as opposed to boys? Now, this also takes away what is an evolutionary capability within humans. Yes, this is something that, you know, designer babies and all that kind of stuff. If you think about it, if you take a child out of the gene pool, natural selection is random. It is throwing the freaking dice. And if you're throwing the dice and you get a girl, that's just it's a 50-50 chance. It's a flip of a coin. But just imagine how many children would not be born. This is going to end up becoming a very similar discussion to that of the abortion discussion. And is it ethically right to pick the gender of your child? I don't necessarily think it is ethically right, and it may lead to situations where, and it has happened before, it may lead to situations where children are had specifically. I know there was a story not that long ago where there was a child that was born specifically to become to donate stuff to their little sister, and they had to be lucky that they had a girl. But you know, I don't think it's a good idea to start, because where does it stop? I don't think it's right reading like that should be called selfish and disgusting, but I mean, you have to understand that if you're in the public eye and you say something like that, not everyone's going to be nice. And I mean, Daniel Lord, of all people in the world, should know that not everyone is going to be nice. So weird. And I mean, this is the UK mum spent £20,000 to have a girl. Just weird. Anyway, but in other news, the woman who created Tinder for lonely mums. As the first of her friends to become a mum, Michelle Kennedy didn't have a network of other mothers to share her experiences with. She had worked in high roles in tech startups and dating apps as director of Bumble and director CEO of Badoo. So she decided to use her experience to help create a solution for modern mums. More than a year on, Michelle's dating app, Peanut, has more than 17 million swipes. So there you go. In other news, what Americans get wrong about 911. The US emergency number has been misused by white people feeling threatened by African Americans who are simply mowing a lawn or leaving an Airbnb. As 911 marks its 50th year in operation, are these nuisance calls a new trend? I remember reading that before about the black people moving stuff, and they felt like they needed to call the police. In other news, Aurea Vasquez Rijo, beauty queen on trial for husband's murder. Let's just have a look at this. When a one-time beauty queen walks into a courtroom in Puerto Rico this week, it will bring to an end a long wait endured by relatives of her wealthy former husband who was stabbed to death in the street. Aurea Vasquez Rijo and Adam Joel Anhang's romance was short-lived and ill-starred. Now, after 13 years after Anhang's murder, a US federal court will finally decide whether the former beauty queen from Puerto Rico had her Canadian online gaming tycoon husband killed after just 6 months of marriage. There you can see. Ms. Vasquez Rijos, the accusation holds, knew that divorce would deprive her of access to much of her husband's estate, estimated to be worth $24 million, £90 million, due to a prenuptial agreement the pair had signed. 2 years later, Jonathan Roman Rivera, a kitchen worker from a nearby restaurant, was convicted of murdering Anhang in an opportunistic robbery. That conviction was later overturned when a witness came forward telling a US federal grand jury how she saw the killer hit Anhang with a street cobblestone and knife several times. He then spoke with Ms. Vasquez tears briefly before striking her with moderate force, the witness added. In 2008, and you can just see that sting operation. She was allowed to marry the father in jail. She became pregnant behind bars and had a baby. Spanish police sources have told the BBC that the father of the child was a small-time Italian crook serving time in Spain for a drugs offence. A lot has gone on, and it's a massive story, which, if you've got time to read, I would read. In other news, the business class toddler clocking up air miles. Darcy is an old hand at international travel. Darcy Davidson is not quite 2 years old, but she has already clocked up more air miles than most businesses she runs with. Most business travel the most adults. It wasn't planned like this. Her mother Laura had intended to take time away from the business she runs with husband Craig, but Darcy arrived early and forced them to look again at their plans, with their business expanding rapidly when everything on hold for a year or two didn't seem like a good option. There you go, there's a baby in the long haul travel. Laura and Craig's digital advertising firm works in 48 countries and means they need to regularly travel all over the world. The couple decided that meant their newborn daughter should travel too. Darcy's first trip to Dubai was when she was just 12 weeks old. It was good that we were flexible to take her with us. Taking a newborn baby across the world has its own challenges, Laura said. Their company, Tag Digital, is headquartered in Glasgow and has offices in London and Dubai. Turnover has been in excess of £2 million in the past year, projected to be £6 million by 2019. The company has been going for a couple of years and was expanded rapidly. Now, this is why I'm just going to quickly stop you right there, because it's a very, very good story. It's a very interesting story. It's a very, very, very cute story. But do you see the interesting part of why this story even exists? Let's take here. Laura and Craig's digital advertising firm works in 46 countries. Oh, I wonder what their advertising firm is called. Oh, their company, Tag Digital, is headquartered in Glasgow. Turnover has been in excess of blah, 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 blah. Look at that. Basically, the best ad you could ever have is having a kid. In other news, Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. How crazy is it that Darcy, Mr. Darcy, hello there, Brian Walsh. We will be ending the show soon. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to keep it down. Unfortunately, as I said, we had some issues with technical difficulties today. But Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani defends truth isn't truth remark. Truth isn't truth. President Donald Trump's lawyer. Oh my God, I just can't believe this as well. President Donald Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, wow, has responded to a public backlash after he claimed that truth isn't truth during an interview. He said on Twitter that those words had not been a pontification of moral theology, but referred to cases of he said, she said. Mr. Giuliani has said Mr. Trump should not testify to the Russia probe as he might be trapped into perjury. Truth is truth, NBC host Chuck Todd remarked during Sunday's interview. Mr. Giuliani denied that this was the case. The comments were widely mocked on social media. In January last year, Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway told Todd's program Meet the Press that the White House was entitled to present alternative facts. In his response to his critics on Monday, Mr. Giuliani reaffirmed that his point was that two rival versions of events were in contention. My statement was not meant as a pontification on moral theology, but one referred to the situation where two people make precisely contradictory statements, the classic he said, she said puzzle. Sometimes further inquiry can reveal the truth, other times it doesn't. The exchange on Meet the Press on Sunday began with Mr. Todd asking Mr. Giuliani whether the Trump team was stalling about a possible testimony at the inquiry led by special counsel Robert Mueller into alleged meddling by Russia in the 2016 US election. Mr. Giuliani said, "I'm not going to be rushed into having him testify so he can be trapped into perjury." He added, "When you tell me that he should testify because he's going to tell the truth and shouldn't worry, well, that's so silly because it's somebody's version of the truth, not the truth." When Todd countered that truth is truth, Mr. Giuliani exclaimed, "Truth isn't truth." The interviewer put his hand on his forehead and said, This is going to become a bad meme. Mr. Giuliani then made his main point: the accusations of obstruction of justice against the president hinge on a conversation he had with then FBI Director James Comey in February 2017, and that Mr. Trump's account of that conversation differs radically from Mr. Comey's. Trump's critics were prompt to seize on the exchange. Preet Bharara, Stormy Daniels again. Stormy Daniels again. Preet Bharara, a Democrat who was fired as federal prosecutor by the Trump administration, suggested truth isn't truth would not sound convincing in a trial. Wow. Others shared Todd's sense of disbelief. We are all Chuck Todd listening to Rudy Giuliani. There he is, look. The president denies any collusion and has repeatedly called the Mueller probe a witch hunt. Russia also denies it interfered in the polls 2 years ago, which saw Donald Trump defeat Democratic rival Hillary Clinton. In other news, energy switch firm wins Dragon's Den record deal. The founders of an energy switching service are delighted after securing what has been described as the best deal in the history of Dragon's Den. Henry Dezout and Will Hodson, co-founders of Look After My Bills, received offers from all 5 dragons on the BBC show. They ended up selling just 3% of their business for £120,000. The firm finds consumers the best gas and electricity deals and switches them automatically when their deals run out. Look After My Bills also plans to offer broadband deals by the end of this year and other services such as car insurance in the future. It's a good story, actually. Previously, the smallest amount of equity changing hands on the show was a 5% stake in publishing business Lost My Name in 2005, which was snapped up by former Dragon Piers Linney for £100,000. Lost My Name has since changed its name to Wonderbly and has sold more than 2.7 million of its personalised children's picture books. Mr. Hodson and Mr. Dezout met at Bristol University, blah, 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 blah. In other news, Eltham hammer attack. Nope. This story. Okay, I just want to actually quickly just look at what other stories I've got real fast, and then we're going to look at wrapping up the show for tonight, as I'm trying to keep them underneath the 45-minute mark. So let's just check, because that story... I think Trump organization, the most blatant biased lie, and no one can expose them. It's true. It's true. Now, let's swoop into, and in other news, Blastathon. So, in other news, exploding iPad prompts Apple shop evacuation. 3 Apple employees have been treated for minor injuries after an iPad battery reportedly exploded in an Amsterdam shop. The 3 staff are believed to have breathed vapours released when the battery caught fire. Oh well, you're in Amsterdam. The vapours are going to be breathed all the time. The incident on the 19th of August led to the shop in Amsterdam's Leidsplein being evacuated and closed. Firefighters were called and they dealt with the iPad and made sure the shop was properly aired. Amsterdam's fire brigade tweeted that it had attended the incident and 3 people have been treated for breathing problems. Apple said it is now investigating the incident. It added our staff were able to evacuate customers quickly and safely, and the store reopened shortly afterwards. A Dutch media site said staff in the store had initially dealt with a fuming iPad by putting it in a sand-filled fire bucket. This reportedly quelled the fire, but not before some of the potentially harmful irritants had been released. Apple news site 9to5 said it had seen more incidents of similar faults, and the electronics company has started its iPhone battery replacement program. Apple began the replacement initiative after being criticised for slowing down older iPhones whose batteries were aging. A consumer backlash against the policy led to it offering discounted and free battery swaps for some of its customers. So, I guess they're giving you cheaper batteries. In other news, Asia Argento accused of sexual assault. And I really want to talk more about this, but we're running out of time. One of the leading figures in the Me Too movement has reportedly been accused of sexual assault herself. This is an amazing story. Italian actress Asia Argento was one of the first to speak out against Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. The New York Times reports that legal documents, which the BBC has not seen, show she paid a former co-star $380,000 after he alleged she had assaulted him in a California hotel room in 2013. A lawyer for Ms. Argento declined to comment on the allegations. Her accuser, Jimmy Bennett, was just 17 at the time. The age of consent in California is 18. Ms. Argento would have been 37 at the time of the encounter. Mr. Bennett said in the documents that the encounter traumatized him and threatened his mental health and career, the New York Times reported. He had played Ms. Argento's young son in a 2004 film. In the document seen by the paper, the actress's lawyer said that the money was given to Mr. Bennett to help him, and said that it was Ms. Argento who had had been preyed upon. Excuse me. In a statement published by Vanity Fair, a lawyer for Miss Bennett said his client would not comment but would take the next 24 hours or longer to prepare his response. A lawyer for Mr. Weinstein said the development revealed a stunning level of hypocrisy by Asia Argento. Another high-profile accuser of Harvey Weinstein, Rose McGowan, has also reacted to the reports. Rose McGowan: I got to know Asia Argento 10 months ago. Our commonality is the shared pain of being assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. My heart is broken. I will continue my work on behalf of victims everywhere. None of us know the truth of the situation, and I'm sure more will be revealed. Be gentle. Rose McGowan, leader of the Me Too movement. Leader of the Me Too movement. If you've been abused, she will make sure that you are not used. Except unless it's by her. Allegedly. Weinstein is still guilty, but don't you think it's funny? I think it's very, very, very funny that here we go. Like, you read it all, yeah? None of us know the truth, and I'm sure more will be revealed. Be gentle. If this was the other way round, and this is what my whole point of this whole Me Too situation was, if this was the other way round, if this was a 17-year-old girl and this was a man, there would not be any of this touchy-feely, oh, it's all right, oh, let's find out the full story. It would have been, he raped her. That's what it would have been. Would not have been anything else. But because it's a woman, and because it's Asia Argento, and because she's already involved in the Me Too movement, but I do think that this is probably some guy trying to pull the story. This is potentially, and this is going to be really funny coming up for the next few months and potentially years. This is, truth isn't truth, but this is really funny. This is one of those situations I feel where there are going to be more of these guys that come out of the woodwork. This is probably the first guy that's come out of the woodwork and said, yeah, I was 17 and this really, really attractive 37-year-old woman who could have helped my career decided to have sex with me. Now, I was playing her son and potentially I did try it on with her because, you know, I was a 17-year-old boy that was trying to hang out with Hollywood royalty to a certain extent. And Asia Argento is a very attractive woman. So, you know, maybe he tried it on and maybe that's what happened. And then maybe afterwards he went, you know what, I'm going to go and tell on you because I'm only 17 and 18 is the age of consent. And that's the weird part of it. I always wonder if she even knew or even if he maybe lied to her. But we don't know. And that's the whole point. And the fact is that the trial by fire hasn't gone the other way because she's a woman, which is a very interesting thought to have about the whole situation. Now, where are we? In other news, let's go again. Pleasure Island carousel to be sold again after bid mistake. A disused fairground carousel brought in error by a bungling online auction bidder is to be put up for sale again. The 114-year-old roundabout was one of thousands of items sold from the closed Pleasure Island theme park in Cleethorpes in March. An unnamed Lincolnshire man mistakenly bid £180,000 for the carousel. The auctioneers did not pursue the sale. It's due to go under the hammer again with a much lower reserve price on 21st of October. Auctioneer Carl Vince said, the carousel is one of 400 lots in a second round of auction sales. It includes other items that did not previously sell, such as the Shrieksville Ghost Train Ride, which did not meet its reserve price of £80,000, due to be sold separately under 75 lots. The one-day auction also includes theme park souvenirs, original ride plans, and artist impressions of the parks, which were not previously included. When we did another scan of this park, we were surprised to see how much is still there, said Mr. Vince. To a park collector, the pictures of ride plans and artist impressions are like gold dust because you don't get to usually see these up for sale. And I was going to find another story to end on. Weymouth beggars and drinkers to be fined £100. People caught begging, drinking alcohol, or feeding gulls in parts of Weymouth face fines of £100 in the new rules. A new public space protection order, PSPO, which aims to reduce antisocial behaviour, covers the Promenade, Town Centre and some parks and squares. Weymouth and Portland Borough Council said the fixed penalty notices would only be used as a last resort. Councillor Mike Bayett said the council would continue to be sensitive to people genuinely in need of support. Areas included in the alcohol ban include include the Promenade, Town Centre and Railway Station, Rodwell Trail, Chapel Hay Gardens, Noath Gardens and Eastern Square, Portland. Feeding goals is now banned throughout the town centre and promenade. Bylaws already prohibit begging on the promenade. The fine of £100 must be paid within 28 days, but is reduced to 75 if paid within 14 days. Human rights group Liberty has criticised the use of PSPOs, saying if someone is forced to beg, that's not antisocial behaviour, that's extreme poverty. Mr. Byatt, who's responsible for community safety at the council, said, "We understand the difficulties of situations that lead individuals to begging and will continue to be sensitive to people genuinely in need of our support. However, fixed penalty notices will be available if there is no other alternative to tackle the problem." The new PSPO, which remains in place for 3 years, also bans cycling on the town's promenade between 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. between Good Friday and the end of October. Now, actually, I've got one more story I want to end on because it was very, very funny. Jamie Oliver's jerk rice accused of cultural appropriation. Jamie Oliver has been accused of cultural appropriation for calling a new product punchy jerk rice. The decision to label the microwave rice jerk has been criticised because the product doesn't contain many of the ingredients traditionally used in a Jamaican jerk marinade. I'm just wondering, do you actually know what Jamaican jerk actually is? MP Dawn Butler asked the celebrity chef. Newsbeat has contacted representatives of Jamie Oliver for comment. Hashtag Jamie Oliver. At Jamie Oliver, hashtag jerk. I'm just wondering, do you know what hashtag Jamaican hashtag jerk actually is? It's not just a word you put before stuff to sell products. At Levi Roots Music should do a masterclass. Your jerk rice is not okay. This appropriation from Jamaica needs to stop. Jerk seasoning is usually used on chicken, the dish is often barbecue. Jerk rice isn't really a thing, which is why a lot of people reacted angrily to Jamie's new creation. There's no such thing as jerk rice apart from what Jamie Oliver has concocted, that's her point. No, but I'm honestly upset about this Jamie Oliver jerk rice. Rice can jerk, friggin' yam head. Only two things can jerk, and it's chicken and pork. Lickle teeth in boy dem. They love to copy other people's thing and sell it. Hardly even know what the term means. I am still not over this jerk rice nonsense. Just no, Jamie Oliver, no. Tim, there is no such thing as jerk rice. Jamie Oliver put it on his product recipe to make money. That is appropriation of culture. You can't compare making a spag bol to Jamie Oliver's jerk rice. Jerk rice isn't a thing. That's why it's so out of order. People have also questioned the ingredients in Jamie's rice. Labour politician Dawn Butler's tweet about rice seemed to be the really start of the discussion. Plenty of people have accused MP of making something out of nothing. A Conservative MP was one of them. If Jamie Oliver isn't allowed to make jerk chicken because it's cultural appropriation, she's going to go mad when she finds out about Jamie's Italy, and others echoed his views. She's going to blow her lid when she finds out he's not even Italian. Just wish we could all enjoy the best bits of each other's cultures without accusations being thrown around. So only Greeks can run in the London Marathon. Love that one. Are you honestly saying that white people can't cook food from other cultures in case they get it slightly wrong? It's fair to say people are divided. A similar argument earlier this month about a range of Indian food sold by Marks & Spencer's. Food writer Malika Basu questioned the ingredients used in a Bengali turmeric curry. I grew up in Bengal, head back regularly, and I have no idea what Bengali turmeric curry is, with celery seeds, tamarind, and coconut nuts. Can someone please enlighten me? So I thought it was a very funny story to end on because, well, it's just stupid. It's just so stupid. So, thank you all for joining us for another Fowl Originals news round. We'll be doing another show tomorrow, obviously. I wore the green t-shirt, I didn't do anything with it. Now, we will end, like we always do, with something fun. So, I thought this would be the best way to end it, based on what we had... what we had as the end of the story for tonight. So I will leave you with my favourite of the ever cooking show. My favourite ever cooking show of all time. And I mean, it's a shame because, you know, I feel like there's been a bit of a cultural appropriation going on here as well, to be honest. And I don't really like it. But you know what? Let's do it. So, some of you may know this automatically. So thank you all very much for joining us for another Fowl Originals news round, and you can join us every night this week from 10:30. 10:30. Ward will be coming back. There he is. So Lainsley.
Hello, good morning, and a very warm welcome to Can't Cook, Won't Cook. So, why don't you sit back, settle down and relax, cause it's time for your early morning cookery attack. The contestants are in the wings, so let's bring them on and let things begin right here on Can't Cook, Won't Cook!
So join us for more fun happening. Some more fun happening tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. I wanted to do a Fowl Originals weekly wrestling recap, which is going to have to happen tomorrow potentially, but I probably won't happen because I'm going to go watch a film. Probably going to go and watch the Ant-Man and the Wasp. So please join me for News Round tomorrow, which will be happening potentially at 11 o'clock as well, where we'll go for 45 minutes. And if you want to help support the channel, you can go to fowloriginal.com, go to the beginning of this show, and you can see how to do that. But the easiest way is to go to fowloriginal.com, go to support, just like Brian did, to help a brother out, and I'll be getting those tickets for progress. Thank you again. Big shout out to Brian Walsh, and I did that on the Twitters. This has been Fowl Original. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and enjoy it. And don't go jerking your rice in front of MPs.